Collaboration and popularity on Spotify, measuring the impact of featured artists. Our objective here is to do the research question: do tracks featuring at least one other artist have higher Spotify popularity than solo tracks controlling for duration, explicitness, audio features, energy, and danceability?
For our dataset, what we did was choose the COGS Spotify tracks dataset, which contains around 160,000 songs. This contains metadata, audio features, and popularity scores for tracks available on Spotify. What we did was merge two separate datasets, the reason being that in the first dataset, we found certain metrics, and on the second dataset, we only found other certain metrics. So since we needed all of those, we had to merge them, and we had access to the information we needed. Our key variables were the outcome variable, which is popularity score from 0 to 100, how popular the song is. Our main predictor was the has feature, whether it features another artist, and our control variables were explicit, duration in seconds, the energy, and the danceability of the song. So for our data cleaning pipeline, what we did was normalize the columns, which is lowercase, and removing spaces for consistency, fixing duration values, extracting artist information, seeing if it has a featuring or not, removing duplicates, and finally merging our final dataset.
Doing an exploratory data analysis, we're here to understand the basic structure of the dataset. Some key findings is that popularity is heavily right-skewed, a large portion of tracks have a popularity of 0, and duration is also right-skewed. Looking at feature distributions, we can see that energy is right-skewed, danceability clusters around moderate danceability levels, there are far more non-explicit tracks than explicit ones, and there are significantly fewer featured tracks compared to non-featured tracks.
We examined the featured and non-featured popularity tracks through histogram and a box point, as well as doing the Mann and Whitney U test, and as well creating a summary statistics table that showcases that featured tracks indeed have a higher popularity rate versus non-featured tracks that just does it. And this could be helpful for artists to get boost visibility and gain more popularity, and that it just strategically shows that collaborations do elevate track success. And then moving on to explicit and non-explicit tracks, we also use the box points that showcases that non-explicit songs have a lower and tighter spread versus explicit songs do have a higher and broader range of popularity as well.
So here we have a key comparison of explicit and featured status. We see from the bar chart on the right that explicit and featured tracks are the most popular overall, while non-explicit and non-featured tracks are the least popular overall. So this comparison shows a clear pattern, and it's that both the featured status and explicitness increase the popularity of a track. When it comes to linear relationships, we see overall that our variables show very weak linear relationships of popularity. All of our variables in a pair plot have a really scattered distribution with no strong upward or downward trend, and from our correlation heat map, we see that the correlations with popularity are really small. So overall, there doesn't seem to be a linear relationship with popularity for our variables. However, there could be other variables that influence popularity, such as marketing or social trends.
For the ethics part of our project, the big thing to know is that all of our data came from publicly available Spotify information. Nothing private and nothing tied to real people. Even though the data itself is safe, we still thought about where biases could sneak in. For example, Spotify's popularity score tends to favor newer music or certain regions, so our results really only reflect Spotify's ecosystem. We also made sure everything was stored securely and documented clearly so that the analysis could be reproduced if needed. Now, wrapping everything up, our main takeaway is that popularity on Spotify isn't really about the audio features themselves, but more about social factors like having a featured artist or whether a track was explicit or not. Those patterns showed up over and over again. Meanwhile, things like energy or danceability barely showed any relationship to popularity. But popularity is messy. Some songs without features or explicit content still did really well, which tells us there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Playlisting, marketing, timing, algorithm boosts, all that. And since our data set is just a snapshot in time, we're not seeing how these trends change or which songs take off later. Overall, the big picture is that popularity on Spotify is shaped by visibility and social context way more than the sound of the song itself.